You are listening to Haunt After Hours, where we talk about the work, chaos, and fun that goes on behind the scene of haunt production. I'm Heartless Heather, and I'm here with Nannie Jannie.
Hey, y'all.
And Big Ant.
How's it going?
And we've been on a long hiatus. We were not supposed to be gone for as long as we were, but we're excited to be back. And we're going to talk about what we've been doing during our hiatus in a little bit. But before we get into that, Big Ant, tell us your boo of the week.
Well, I don't really have a boo of the week. What I decided to do instead was start a little series. We've talked before about some of the weird laws that we have in this country, and I thought that we'd do maybe a 5-week series on these since there's so many, huh?
Of what? Of weird laws.
Of the weird laws. Now, we do a lot of travel in this country, in the haunt industry, and you have to know what you can and cannot do. For example, in Utah, did you know it is illegal to cause a catastrophe? But you didn't know that. Yes, in Utah, it's illegal to cause a catastrophe according to the Utah Criminal Code.
I did examples too because I'm thinking.
Well, let me see if I can get to it. It says this can include the use of weapons or mass destructions, explosive devices, or other hazardous materials. How's that, for example?
I feel like it's a given that if you cause a catastrophe,
as well as intentional acts such as starting a fire or a flood.
Yeah, I feel like that's a given.
Illegal anywhere.
Well, it's definitely in Utah. They have it in writing.
Boo of the week.
Yeah, you get the Boo of the Week award.
Okay, how about this? Women must get written permission from their husbands to wear false teeth in Vermont.
Oh, is it still active law?
Let's see here. The claim is not based on any current legal statutes in Vermont, but nevertheless, maybe go easy on the maple syrup.
There are still, when we were on our honeymoon, this was 13 years ago, but we met a gal from Louisiana and her husband was from Utah, and he's like, oh, she got a toothache. And she got a toothache and she needed to go to the dentist and get her tooth pulled. And he's like, what do you mean you have to go to the dentist and get it? She thought that you just got your teeth pulled when your teeth hurt. You didn't save them, you didn't cap them, you didn't cap them.
See? She's one that needed it in writing, Janice Lee.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this one? In Washington, it's illegal to harass Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
I would imagine so.
Yes, according to an ordinance passed in 1969.
It's pretty recent.
I want the pictures from that day.
Right. Criminal codes in Washington says criminal codes in Washington says the law states that any person who intentionally exposes himself to others or any animals affected by the contagious or infectious disease in public is therefore breaking the law.
So, if they are sick and they go out in public.
Evidently.
Yeah.
It is in writing.
I taught preschool for a long time. I would have to agree with that.
Well,
6 days.
There you go. You can have all them 6th graders or 6-year-olds arrested in. So West Virginia, it is illegal to have an unmarried couple live together.
I wonder if that's true.
They're pretty strict in West
That used
Virginia.
to be a thing, probably.
So let me see here. It doesn't give me a date on that one. So I'm going to have to say that is probably a past code, but you never know. Okay. Roadside meal prep in West Virginia. The West Virginia roads, this is not what you think it is, evidently. The West Virginia roadkill removal law, enacted in 2015, permits individuals to collect and utilize certain types of roadkill. This law was implemented to address the issue of animals being accidentally struck by vehicles, and that is the roadside meal prep law in West Virginia.
Wait, help me understand that. I was getting sidetracked. We have a dog jumping around, and she's calling for help. So you can't, if it's to protect the animal.
No, it's not. If you run a deer or a bear or a turkey over in West Virginia, you can actually harvest the meat from that animal, is basically what the law is saying.
Oh, so you can't do that where...
You can't do that anywhere, believe it or not. Some places it is illegal.
I was told you can't do that, like in Tennessee.
Yeah, you would think, especially in Tennessee, that would be okay. All right, let's move on. In Wisconsin, it's illegal to serve butter substitutes without the customer's approval.
Oh, yeah, that should be everywhere.
Yeah, margarine. Yes, that's right.
Can't believe it's not butter.
Right.
Yeah, because that gives you heart attacks. It really does clog that.
And with And a slice of cheese with my apple pie, please. In Wisconsin, there's a long-standing tradition and cultural practice that's serving apple pie with a slice of cheese. While it is not a strict legal requirement, it has become popularly known as the apple pie and cheese law.
I will say, the first time I've seen apples and cheese together, like, I'm a big fondue person, so when I go to the melting pot and I didn't... Anyways, the other day I was eating Starbucks, and I had I had a slice of apple, and they gave you like 3 different kinds of cheese. It's a good combination, so I get, like, maybe I haven't had an apple pie and cheese.
It does not sound
have
good.
To try it.
Now we might have to. I'm not opposed to trying it. Probably wouldn't do it with the cheddar.
I wouldn't mind the deer on the side of the highway, but apples and cheese, so. Colorado, it's illegal to pick wildflowers from the state highway. It's actually illegal in California, too. Did you know that? Yeah. You shouldn't be pulling off the side of the highway just to pick flowers anyway, but poppies are protected in California as well.
We have a video of Kasten picking a flower, and where he picked it from, there's a sign that says it is illegal to pick these flowers.
Yeah, and our next video is him being hauled away in the back of a cop car. All right, our last little tidbit for the week here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this into a little mini series, if you will. I've got a bunch of these. So gorillas in Massachusetts are not allowed to sit in the back seat of a car. So if you're driving through Massachusetts, your gorilla has to be in the front seat, folks.
Or the truck.
This is important information to know as you're going to the haunt industry trade shows. So
I feel like I would put somebody in a gorilla costume and put that theory to the test.
Let's challenge it. I'm ready.
Who was that?
Massachusetts. I think all the other 49 states are probably okay with your gorilla in the back seat.
Probably preference for it to be there. Now, I want to know, how did these laws come to be? Like, who said, oh, we must like...
Yeah, we kind of need some background info. I'm going to have to research some of these for the background info, but I thought those were kind of humorous, and I thought you guys would enjoy them.
Yes, that is funny.
Okay, we're going to get into what we've been up to the last couple of years. So, who wants to start first? Nannie Jannie, where you been?
Where have I been? I don't know. I can just tell you in the last 6 weeks, in the last 2 months, let's see, 6 weeks.
Got some Final Destination stuff around here.
6 weeks. I was in the hospital 5 times, and I never go to the hospital, but it was pretty major stuff. Head-on collision, appendicitis, bronchial pneumonia, but that's only 6 weeks. God,
yeah, appendicitis. One day they pulled her appendix out, and by 10 o'clock at night, and by 2 o'clock the next morning, she was out here helping us build at the hospital.
I was so nervous. Yes, I was so nervous. I had to be. They said, oh, you need to stay in here for at least 48 hours. I said, I ain't got 48 hours.
And a few weeks later, we were in LA, and we got into a head-on collision. We were not at fault, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And we both survived, thank goodness, but it was quite scary.
In LA, believe it or not, they should go with your laws. They believe it is okay to make a left-hand turn on a green light, and you shouldn't have to yield.
Well, no, they don't believe that, but that's what people do.
Oh, that's I love to people believe that, because you could see all the bumpers.
When we got into the accident, we pulled off to the side of the road, and you could just see tons and tons of bumpers. They had gone through the same.
I'm about to share those videos with you. Then we bought a ranch in California.
That's where you're at.
So Janice mentioned that we bought a ranch in Central California, and we did. We found 13 acres, the perfect size for our wonderful little haunt. And we made a bid on it, and we got a good price, and we went ahead and purchased the property. And now we have relocated to Chowchilla, which is right smack dead center of Central Valley, trying to rebuild. We're moving from there. So
you purchased this property in 2023, so that would be since the last episode.
Yeah, that was during the last.
We recorded
2022.
What did we do between 2022 and 2023?
Good question. So we've had a lot of
life has taken place.
Because even JoJo's been born since then.
Yep, that's going to be my part. What I've been doing since
our newest haunter.
The last time that we recorded, I was pregnant with JoJo, the baby. We ended up naming him Caden Joseph. So now I've got 4 children, and that was in September of 2022, and our pretty much intended to come back and start the podcast after he was, but life just got in the way. So in 2021, Hurricane Ida, was it 2020?
That's what happened.
Came in on our haunt in Louisiana and just set on the property where we had the haunt. And we were no longer able, so the property owners, we leased the property, and the property owners didn't really want to put money into the golf course, and we weren't sure that it was worth it for us to put money into the golf course because we just had it for the haunt industry, not necessarily to stay open year round. But we couldn't keep it unless we kept the golf course open year round. So we just decided that it was probably, none of us were living in Louisiana at the time. It was just in the best interest of everybody financially to back away. So we did not have a haunt in Louisiana or in California in 2022. So in 2022, my kids and I and Janice, we have mobile escape rooms, and we found a haunt in Tennessee, and we set up our mobile escape rooms as a vendor at a haunt in Tennessee. It's called Deer Creek Marina, and they're a little walk through the woods.
Quite amazing. You did a great
really good job. This year would have been their 4th year. Yeah. So when we were there, it was their 2nd year, and they did. It was really, really cool. Actually, that year, my creepy Kaysen, he was 5 at the time. He was not part of their cast, but he would come with us. And at the end of their haunt, they asked who the scariest person was, and people would say, "Oh, the little boy at the beginning, the little boy at the beginning." And so he, like, a few nights in a row, got scariest actor, and he wasn't even part of their cast. So that was really funny.
In the woods, and there was a long walk up to the line from the ticket booth, and it was like a grassy knoll area. And he would do this creepy crawl and then reach out for customers. And he just came up with his skits all by himself to do little creepy things in that area. So
Yeah, he would.
People thought he was part of the.
He loved it. He had to get all dressed up for it every night, and
He did amazing.
He did. So people would come up and try to tip him. They'd be like, "Oh, you're really good. Go scare my wife." Oh, he's like a diva. I don't know if you guys remember Cody with the K. He was on our podcast when we started. He's a diva to the T. And Cody with the K is still around. I'm not knocking him in any way, shape, or form. But this guy, Kaysen, reminded me so much of him because he's like, "No, I'm not doing it for tips. I want authentic scares." I was like, "Oh my goodness, kid."
What was he, 5 at the time?
He was, yeah. He was not going to take your money. He wanted to scare them. He wanted to make sure he was doing it naturally and that the scare was natural. Like, he's like, "I'm not going to force anything."
That's funny.
Oh.
But even to this day, Kaysen has carried that mantra with him because he does really great job on improv and scares.
So our downtime was not wasted. However, we visited a lot of competitor haunts. We got an opportunity to finally go see some of your props in action. We liked what we saw for the most part. And of course, we still stayed with going to the trade shows, representing Primal contact lenses. And so we want to thank them as well for helping us get through some of our rough times, if you will. Everything that we had was family fun, family oriented, family entertainment for the most part. Everything that we did, and after COVID and of course the hurricane, and we got hit pretty hard.
We shut down, and we, of course, from renting the property in California, we rented the fairground.
Right.
We stored all the property in another place that we rent materials to build the haunt.
Yeah.
And that was all stolen.
Yeah.
We rented 3 acres in Stevenson, which is a go-to destination. And that's part of my mental, that put me in a depression, dealing with insurance and the insurance not paying. And we've been married for 40, 30, we've been married for a long time. And our life was there, because we weren't living in a traditional home at the time. We were living in an RV. And so everything was stored out there on that property. So from our personal stuff to our business stuff, everything was stolen. If it wasn't stolen, it was gone through and just thrown out. Like somebody was just doing this. I want this and that. And they emptied out some tubs and threw the stuff on the ground and then filled it with the stuff that they actually wanted.
So if you're actually a crook out there listening, do us a favor. When you go through somebody's stuff, just take the box, take it with you, because you created more of a mess for us. And it costs us more money in cleanup than it would have to just
replace
it. Right. So please don't ever do that to somebody. That's the worst.
But
that being said, we are where we are today.
So
back in business. So
in 2023, we did open up our haunt in California again. Now I live in Tennessee, but my family and I came.
I live part-time in Tennessee.
My family and I came to California to help put the haunt on. And we had to move everybody for the 3rd time for our haunt to a new location. We started as a tiny little haunt out in Snelling, California. We turned into a huge haunt in Turlock, California when we rented the fairgrounds. Now we had to take our following to our property that it's going to be our forever home, but it's not a central location. It's definitely a destination spot. So now we are at 1 hour away from where our clientele was. So
It's working. They're coming though.
They-
They followed us. So
it was a break even type year, but not a make money type year. But that's okay. It kept us in the game, and 2024 is looking to be about the same. So, but it's getting busier and busier.
We had a lot of hiccups this year too with the corn getting planted and due to this area dependent on farmers and what have you not. But next year for our haunt, we're on already and ready.
Yeah, one thing we did learn from 2019 is in the state of California, it's just going to be easier to go the agritainment route. And instead of doing buildings and roofs and plant corn and put your seeds in the corn. So 2023, we had a great corn maze. It wasn't super big, but it was scary. And so this year we thought, we're going to make it bigger and better. Well, the guy who was supposed to plant corn never showed up to plant the corn, and we are not farmers, so we did not know what we were doing. Next thing we know, like August 1st or 3rd, he's sending messages saying, yeah, I got out of the industry. So we tried to find corn. You couldn't find corn because most people have already planted their corn, or we're sending it back. We found corn in St. Louis. And we're in California, so we learned a lot about corn in the last few months.
Yeah.
We did not grow corn. We decided to build a haunt around our barn, and it worked out really well. Then we had cast issues, which is a whole other episode we'll get into with other haunts.
yeah, I feel like cast issues is going to be a series in its own right as well. So
Yes, it's going to be a season.
Yeah, a whole episode. How to deal with I think we've done a couple of episodes about dealing with cast. But anyways, that's where we're at. And then we do have director Gary, who is supposed to be with us tonight, but so Gary is doing 1,000,001 things, and he's finally directing one of his own movies. He's writing a script for our Ranch of Horror movie. Gary is doing great. He will be back on future podcasts. He just could not he sent us a message. Like we put last Sunday off for this Sunday, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to cancel. I'm like, dude, we're not pushing this back again. So we're starting without you, but we'll have him on future podcasts. He's been his days are all messed up, and his life is all like confused. So
his car went down last week too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here.
Like ours.
He was on his way here. His car went down. Last time he was here, he shoots for us during our haunt season, and he shoots our video footage. And last time he was here, his tire popped. So that was a whole mess.
I know he's going to stop coming out here.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
It's an hour drive for him. So
Hey, we have a room ready.
but he's got. So I'm going to catch him up to speed on what director Gary's been up to. He did submit his first Ranch of Horror movie which is our haunt, to film festivals, and I heard he won 4th place. But the script that he's writing for Ranch of Horror right now, I really, really am enjoying it a lot, and I'm excited about it. I'm going to get to direct it, so I'm excited about that. Janice,
She pushed me out of that producer's role. She's producing and directed it.
I feel like I've been producing because we got money going out somewhere too.
Yeah.
well, we haven't really started shooting yet, but I'm excited.
Oh yeah, we got her little hat that says director and the chair and the megaphone.
I was all excited to get a director's chair and a megaphone, and Gary's like, you don't need any of that. No, well, I want to yell cut and
Right. You should have just yelled at him, cut.
We're so excited about this. Is going to be so much fun.
It really is fun. Everybody that we've shared the script with has really loved it. I mean, not the synopsis. I did not know synopsis were 3 pages long. I thought they fit on the back of the movie cover. Not like, he's like, oh, I wrote the synopsis, and he sent it over. And I'm like, 5 pages later. Okay, but it's good. It was good, right?
It was good. We all liked it from the beginning. I think there was 1 or 2 things like, oh, I'd like to see this, or that it is, about our ranch and have not. So we wanted a little bit of input, and I think he's done an amazing job. And with the things that we say, he could probably get overwhelmed with. And we're not trying to change a whole bunch of things. We just want to make sure that we're ready for a sequel when
I haven't read it.
Goes out.
I'm not necessarily ready. I'm one and done. Like
I don't want to be one and done. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a sequel, but there's so many parts to the Ranch of Horror and so many things. Like we have the House of Dystopia and the Hayride, and there's so many stories that we can write off on that. So she wants to be a one and done director, make it
It's just crossing something off my bucket list before I turn 40.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm excited about it, and I look forward to making a lot more movies with Gary. And, it's going to be PG-13, so I'm really excited about that. You don't have to worry about the cuss words or what have you not. Or
that was the hard part with me. The last one is my Corinne was in it, and Corinne, now she's 10, but when they filmed it, she was 5 or 6, and one of the scenes that she was in, she shot the zombie, and it out of nowhere, it pans to the zombie, and she leans over and goes, "Oh, my pussy hurts," or something, and I'm like, "Oh, that was awkward to watch." Not Corinne, one of the zombies that got hit.
I think there are things.
Director Gary is known for, if you pay attention to Director Gary and his segments, he's known for his movies on the cringe. He grew up with those early cringe movies.
He's going to be talking to you next week about a movie about frogs. Kind of some.
Okay, so it dates some of us who remember this movie. I think I was 5 or 6, but I remember my mom watching it. And when he said it was like a click. And I think I seen it again when I was like 12 or 14 or so.
Who's in it? The star?
Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
The Sam Elliott classic is what I was told. So I Googled Sam Elliott
classic. Now you just ruined his big...
Well, I'm not going into talking about it. I'm just saying there's 2 Sam Elliott horrors that would fall in classic. And I was hoping it was the other one because I was going to watch it with Creepy Kaysen. And then I saw it was the one about frogs. And I was like, yeah, we're not watching that.
It's creepier than frogs.
Maybe.
Just so you know, out here at the ranch, we got just a ton of frogs.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the movie is about. I don't think I've ever seen this.
When they drive,
I like
because
Sam
we're
Elliott.
kind of like in the middle of the desert of Central California, like it's all sand and what have you not. And the canals that run by, when the canals that run parallel or around the ranch, there's frogs everywhere. But when they jump out of the water on hot days, they almost immediately dry up. Where their skin is wet and they just almost immediately dry. Like the sun hits them when it's 114 or 120, and it's like they just sizzle up. And then our dogs think, "Oh, I must bring these to my owner and place them on their door or on their bed." Or, "Hey, let's just put it on the pillow for her because she will like this." And it's the grossest things. Well, then we find Jojo. He's picking them up and bringing them to me. I'm like, no. This is gross. But
I am not made.
Frogs are everywhere out here.
I'm not made for country.
They're not big enough frogs to enjoy some good.
In Tennessee, I'm in the mountains, and I'm not sure I'm made for mountain life either. It's like, because there's things that want to kill you too. But
yeah, not like Louisiana.
Not like Louisiana. But being in Louisiana for as long as I was, it did give me some thick skin. I used to be terrified of spiders. Not terrified of spiders. Used to be terrified of amphibians of all sorts. Now I can walk in front of a snake and not freak out. We did not get to. I'm gonna have to post pictures of this on our. But last year, my little girl, she turned 5, and for her birthday, she wanted a kooky spooky birthday party, and we had to rent the amphibian guy, the reptile guy. He brings reptiles, and he had frogs and stuff too. But I had on my couch with my little babies this like huge 15-foot anaconda thing. I don't know what they were, wrapped around my kids. So I'm sitting on my couch, like it was. Anyway, that was kind of creepy.
Thank you, ma'am. No, thank you. The mouth could eat her.
Well, Gary, that's what Gary's up to. And so he's funny because today he was like, I don't even remember I was supposed to go and pick him up because his car broke down. So I'm heading up to pick him up an hour away. And he sends a message saying, I'm not coming. And I'm like, what do you mean you're not coming? I'm almost there to get you. And he's like, are you kidding? Why would you come this way? It's like, dude, we had a whole conversation about it. He had no idea. He had no memory of the conversation. So we're going to pray for Gary that like he's not having some kind of stroke or aneurysm or something going on. And then Molly Poppins, I don't know if she's going to be a regular on the podcast like she was, because since 2022, she also had a baby. Yep, she's sure popped.
Yep.
And she's got a cute little girl.
Yeah, she's
very pretty little girl.
And she's still in Louisiana.
And Molly is still in Louisiana. So our haunt literally is just all over the country. Haunt family is all over the country.
If we can get everybody to move to Tennessee and we do here in California over Tennessee.
So we are trying to get a segment going called Build on a Budget. And if we can get Travis to ever schedule some time to come and sit with us. Travis is Heather's youngest brother. And hopefully we can. I think he's been on a podcast or two.
A couple.
He says he's been on a few. So
he was never a series regular. He was supposed to be a series regular. He's the baby of the bunch. There's 4 of us, and he's not as dependable as these two like to pretend like he.
We
So
know this.
I was not surprised.
Well,
that he.
in his defense, and I am going to come to his defense on this one, he is the director for the Downtown Association for the city of Turlock. And so he's got a very busy schedule. We're going into the holiday season. The filming of this podcast is just before Thanksgiving, but he is the day after Thanksgiving, the Friday after Thanksgiving, they do what they call the Festival of Lights for Christmas. And he is working round the clock trying to get those lights and the festivities organized so that they can do the parade that night.
And he's very much a perfectionist.
Yes.
That's for sure. So he will take a very long time to do things because he wants them to do.
If it's a project he wants to do, he is a perfectionist. Yeah.
But we do know what it's like to try to put a build together on a very tight budget. You know, at Rancho Horror, we are not in any way, means, or shape do we have a Disneyland budget, if you will. Ours is more like a Mickey Mouse budget. And we've got to, there's oftentimes we've got to put things together that, you know, on a very, very, very tight situation. And Travis is great at doing that. So I'm hoping that he can come in and kind of give some tips, some examples of things that maybe we've done in the past that he's done for the city in the past, and give you.
One time we had my Creepy Cason has planned his birthday parties from the time he was old enough to talk, but he talked later than the rest of the kids. If you my kids start early, he didn't have to talk. The other three started talking way too early. But Creepy Cason didn't say 2 words until he was 2 years old. I was a little bit nervous about this, but the minute he turned 2, all of a sudden he knew exactly what he wanted, when he wanted, where he wanted. So he's turning 2, and he said he wanted this choo-choo train birthday party. And Travis went and like built him a whole train out of an old lawnmower, and it had like little buggies behind it. We actually used it for a long time during our Easter Bunny. COVID hit in 2020. We used it during that for our Easter Bunny parades. You know, instead of you taking your kids to see the Easter Bunny came to your neighborhood and did parades. It was really cute. So
Whatever happened to that thing? We still have it somewhere, don't we?
Anthony's been on our podcast. He's another brother, and he was one of our haunt owners in Louisiana. So.
And a part of the build team. And when you say build on a budget, I think that's funny to put that as Travis' segment. As a build team, build on a budget. Let me just tell you, Miss is pinch a penny here. Like, we cannot ever pay full price for anything. And heaven forbid we get something over $25.
And don't buy name brand nothing.
Yes.
For heaven's sake.
They're here, build on a budget.
And what do you mean Walmart has that for $150? I can find it online for $93.
Well, not wrong. It's not wrong.
But you're right. Travis doesn't mind spending money. I've gone out to eat with him, and he's spent $45 at a hamburger place for a gourmet hamburger. So
yeah.
He's not afraid to spend money. But when they're doing the haunt, they're not using their own money. They're using the haunt money, and at that point, it is usually built on a budget.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't have said that right here, huh?
Is Travis not using his own money?
No, we're all using Heather's money.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Travis will be joining us as a regular moving forward, and Gary's going to be back. We're probably not going to see Molly Poppins, but she did have a baby, and we just want to congratulate her. We're excited, and we welcome her back for any guest episodes.
Yeah, we'd like to have her come on every now and then and still give us some tips on.
Chris was going to join us too.
Chris is wanting to join us, but Chris is my husband, but we have 4 children. Well, somebody's got to watch the kids in order for one.
Yes, and evidently we might not get Travis because somebody's got to watch the dogs while we do the podcast too.
Yeah,
you just need to start getting rid of.
Say this building that we're in, like when we bought this ranch, we bought the. I seen the ranch, but I only looked at the property. I never looked at the houses or the buildings or the barns or the outhouses or anything else.
Outbuildings. They are called
the shops. I never looked.
Outhouses are a complete different episode.
So when we actually came in and took over, the close like within 10 days, it was a blessing in disguise that turned into a nightmare because they want to say, oh, there's a house. Oh, there's another house. Oh, there's a mobile home, and there's a couple of cabins.
They didn't take anything. The people the couple that had this, the wife's father owned it, and he passed. And she lives in Montana with her family, and they wanted to touch nothing. The house.
I wonder if there was something. It must have been. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But the way they just left everything, I almost feel like there must have been some hard
I don't know what the story was, but what I do know is that we got everything from years of family photos that nobody wanted to
Afghans that were started and not finished.
right. I mean, but we had to. You're ciphering through somebody's life, and you're trying to figure out,
That,
what to do with most of it.
And there's lots of little buildings. There was the main house, and there was a little cabin that somebody actually had lived in, and it was full of.
There's 100 years of history on this property, and there's probably half of it that
this cabin that we're in right now was full of stuff.
Yeah, there's at least half of it of stuff that was
dehydrated or not. What do they? Yeah, dehydrated.
That was
mummified.
What do you call it? Pieced together. The guy was a tinkerer. He liked to tinker with things and build things, which would have been great. I wish we would have known him back when he was alive, and because he would have been a big help for our
great for being about it.
Great for our
This cabin was brought into the property in 1956. I did look that up on county records, so I do have a history of it. So I just want to point out that this is what Miss Heather and Big At has turned into, and Chris was out here. They decided to.
So Janice said she wanted to use this building as a she shed.
Never did.
And you did too. You did. You said you wanted to clean it out and you wanted to make it a she shed. And I said, you can do that as long as I get to decorate it. What do y'all think?
Very man cave. We got the bar behind us, and we've got an old.
So there's a nice size shop next door. Yeah, I'm gonna turn that
into.
Yeah, wait until I decorate.
He also came with a trailer that had renters in it. The renters have recently just moved, but the guy had been here for 20 years, years and probably longer than that, huh?
Yeah.
He was an older man.
Yeah.
The wife had passed away in August.
And we'll get to that.
He left shortly after.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
The wife passing away, whatever stories.
Yeah.
This life's just been happening. Same with everybody else. Everybody has a story. Life has happened. And we've missed the podcast.
We thought we would do one podcast. We're just doing a catch-up episode and not really a big topic. But in the future, it will not just be about us and about Ranch Report.
Right.
Because this is a Haunt After Hours podcast, and we want it to be about relatable for all haunters in the industry.
And we are going to start bringing on some guests. Last time we didn't bring on a lot of guests. We had a couple. And in fact, there was one episode we had a guest and we couldn't even air it. And we felt kind of bad about that. So we may reach out to her again, but we've got a lineup of guest speakers that'll come in and kind of talk to us about their haunt.
Yep. So this is just relaunching for us, and this segment itself is just to kind of get us back in the groove. I'm not really expecting it to move much or do much, but moving forward. Oh, but I am excited. We thought we lost all of our podcast money, like the whole $20 of it. That's our McDonald's money. But I was able to find. So what happened is we recorded with Anchor. So I don't know if you've been listening to us for a long time, but our first commercial was an Anchor commercial that played at the beginning and in the middle of our podcast. And that generated a little bit of revenue for us. And when Anchor was purchased, so between 2022 was purchased by Spotify, and then you have to have a Spotify account and a Spotify for Creators account, and it's like kind of confusing to get this all rolling. But now it seems pretty easy, but it's not Anchor anymore. Anyways, that Anchor commercial generated a little bit of money for us, so we were excited, and I thought I lost it forever, but it was just sitting patiently waiting for me to retrieve in our Stripe account. I'm leaving it there because we're waiting until it's enough to divide up between all of us. However, yeah.
You mean you're waiting for us to die is basically
yeah.
So that you can get the whole $20.
That's correct. No, but we do have a couple of monthly subscribers, and they're paying 99 cents a month and getting no episodes, but they're still paying, so that's good. Well,
thank you. One of them was me.
Yeah, what was you? I was gonna say one of them was Janice. Just the other day was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, we're gonna cancel that subscription right quick and in a hurry.
But the rest of them we're authentic. So I'm excited about seeing what we do. The only problem is this new platform that we're on. It doesn't, like Anchor lets you record a commercial for them. This new platform that you're on, you cannot. You have to have 1,000 subscribers before you can start making money from them, is my understanding. So
it's not about making money, though. It's kind of cool when you get that side check on the things that we do, but it's really about sharing the information. And it gives us time with our family and our friends that do this with us to to have these moments where we're not stressed out in the build or the
Keeps everybody active throughout the off seasons.
And everybody,
I think that's important.
People love to talk about the projects that they're working on.
Yes.
So he's saying we didn't have a lot of guests, but I feel like every episode we have a guest.
You did?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We had a lot. I didn't usually try to start an episode without having somebody. So.
Like that.
When you get to the age of your mom and I, our cognitivity.
I can tell. Oh, look, there's an orb.
Forever.
What?
What are you pointing at? Inside the camera?
Yes, and look, it's close apart.
Okay, not.
All right.
But it's right around me. Did you see that?
Nannie Jannie and I are going to switch segments for a while. Reason being, I did paranormal activities for a while, and when I'm by myself in Tennessee, I get scared. I think being here, I wouldn't be so scared or afraid, but so I don't know if things change and I go back to Tennessee, we may switch back because I almost feel like I'd like to know what's coming instead of hearing it for the first time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so you're all alone in a big old house, and your mom plants the seed.
Yeah. I'd rather just kind of know.
So you want me to tell you about the ghosts in the basement?
No.
Yeah, because that's when all the Tennessee stories are going to start coming out.
Do you know let's turn the South Wing?
So I'm going to do take over her spot. Let's talk about it. And one thing I'm really sad about this the what I'm about to share, because we have been telling everybody that we put in, and all of our upper management team. We've done we do tons of trade shows through the year, even on what because we are Primal distributors. So if you have never tried a Primal contact lens, definitely purchase a Primal contact lens. Use the code DY and save 10% off of your Primal contact orders. But we and this is primalcontactlenses.com. It's their website. So we go to these trade shows with Primal contact lenses. We are their American distributors. They are based out of Canada, and everybody knows Transworld. Customers go to Transworld. Haunters go to Transworld. Haunt enthusiasts go to Transworld. Like, everybody knows Transworld, and a lot
of big theme parks go there.
Yeah,
to get
big names go to Transworld, and there's smaller trade shows throughout the year that are just as good. Regional trade shows. And Transworld is really good about, their team is really good about going and supporting those other. But one that we went to this last year that I really, really enjoyed as a haunter. Actually, I told my dad, I was like, this would be good for you, like a honeymoon type thing. It's not necessarily, we didn't make a lot of money as a Primal distributor at this show, because there wasn't a lot of haunt enthusiasts there. It was a lot of vendors, but it was a great show for vendors, one, to connect, especially for us. Like, not all, I don't know if all vendors own haunts or are in the haunt industry, or if they're just vendors, but we are vendors who are also in the haunt industry. And so for us, it was a great show because we got to see product, we got to meet other haunt enthusiasts, and this show catered to the vendors. They gave us tickets to shows. They fed us breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day of the show. And it was just really,
and it
really,
probably wasn't that expensive.
I
thought it was
hotels were great place.
It reminded me of being on a cruise. There was just something to do all the time. You had to work, but even then it was fun. You know what I mean? When you go to trade shows, it's fun. But so we've been telling everybody, go to the Fear Expo trade show. Go to the Fear Expo trade show. And then I just found out they posted 6 days ago. Dear valued vendors and customers, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Fear Expo and HauntCon. After much consideration and due to unforeseen health circumstances, we have made the difficult decision to prioritize our well-being and focus on spending more time with our families. Since 2022, it has been an honor to be a part of your haunt season and to connect with such passionate and dedicated community. We deeply value the friendships and partnerships we've formed along the way. We understand this news may come as a surprise and apologize for any inconvenience it may cause. We sincerely appreciate your understanding and support during this time. Thank you for being part of our journey. Sincerely, Doug Sheldon and Chris Hartley. While we were there, these people were amazing people too. They were fun people. They were very friendly. When you pulled up, you didn't have to do anything. People came to your car and unloaded you and helped. They brought you carts, made sure you weren't searching for nothing.
They directed you right to where you.
I feel like they definitely had a niche for taking care of their people, and it makes me so sad to see that this was not working out for them. I do know one of them had.
What is the name of your segment again?
It's Let's Have a Talk About It.
Okay. So
Not necessarily.
not necessarily something positive. Oh, good Lord.
No, but listen, this guy sells a vendor that we met there because I have a daughter who picks. She's a skin picker. And we met a vendor and he said, this product might be really good. It was a sea salt scrub or salt scrub or something. He's like, I don't remember if it was Doug or Chris, but one of them had something going on with their foot or whatever. So they used it and he said they swear by it. So we tried it. It worked good. My daughter is just habitually a picker. So the salt probably would have helped dry it out, but it doesn't take care of the neurological need to pick, right? So we're still struggling with that. But I'm almost wondering if we just need Sober Dave to call and say, hey, because, if Sober Dave can continue to haunt with just one leg, like maybe we can keep these people in business, right? Or no?
Give them some hope. Say, hey, you got a crew of people here to support you. We loved what you did for us.
Now, if you haven't listened to all of our episodes, Sober Dave is one of our cast members. He's a lot of fun. He has been on the show before. Actually, he's only been on one show, but he has a following. We will go places. I'll have my after hour sweater on, and they'll be like, "Oh, how's Sober Dave doing?" I'm like, I've been in Dollywood before, and I was getting on a ride.
Tennessee.
Yes, from Dollywood in Tennessee. I was getting on I live in Tennessee, but I was getting on a ride, and this older man says, "Oh, are you from Haunt After Hours?" I said, "Yeah, that's our podcast." He said, "Are you Molly Poppins?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm Heather." But like,
Heather who?
no. I've been asked about Sober Dave. I've been asked about Molly Poppins, but who's Heather?
Weren't you
I think I take over the whole show every time you guys try to talk. That's probably why they're like, "We don't like you." Take over the whole show.
Yeah, you were in Great America, and somebody.
We were in Great America, but I was not in my Haunt After Hours. I was in my Ranch of Horror.
And they asked
about Sober Dave. Yes. So Sober Dave is a lot of fun. But Sober Dave, when he first started with the Ranch of Horror, he had 2 legs. Now, our urban legend is that Nibbles, one of our smaller cast members, got a hold of his leg, but in reality, he lost his leg because he's diabetic and at the time, he was not doing things he was supposed to do. He ended up with a foot sore. Anyways, it was a whole mess. But
lost a toe, then another toe, then a foot, and a leg, something like that.
Yeah, and then last year he lost another toe. It's been a mess, but he's
Just so you know, if you ever lose a limb, they do not let you keep it. He asked at the
He
hospital.
did ask. His mother asked too. She's like, his mother's like, he got embarrassed. Get away.
Right. He said you should have seen the look at the doctor gave my mom when she asked.
Yeah, but he's a character. After he got his leg removed, he booted him out of the hospital a little bit sooner. He can be a little bit obnoxious, but he's a lot of fun. I think he'd be down and depressed or whatever, but he showed up at the hillbilly party that Travis was having. 4th of July hillbilly party, dressed as a little hillbilly with his Sober Dave hat, and yeah, and one like literally cut the leg off and out partying.
Yeah.
So he's a lot of fun. He doesn't drink. We call him Sober Dave because that's just his character. He does not drink. But if we're just dealing with some kind of foot issue, we might be able to work this out, get this people going, because I feel like it breaks my heart that they're not going to be open. I was looking forward to this show. And there were not very many shows. Like, I like going to Trans World, but it's not like I know we're going to do it or what. It's not, and I'm not downplaying Trans World, but this was a show I was just so excited for. So
they told us they were going to bring it to the West Coast, and they were going to go to Tahoe or Reno, and so we're excited about that too.
I like that it's over on my side of the country because then I can just go home from there or not have to fly. You fly.
Tell me you wouldn't like it in Tahoe. The casino is right there.
Yeah, I do have a bad gambling problem. Anyways, that is my story of the week, and
we'll keep them in our prayers for sure.
Yeah. We are going to keep them in our prayers, and we are going to keep our fingers crossed that we can find a way to save this production because it really was a good show. I'm really sad they were not going to.
And they just sent this out the other day? This memo?
They posted it on their social media 6 days ago.
Well, that's too bad. Maybe they'll do a Haunt After Hour thing and come back after a few years.
Yeah. We'll have to. Maybe I can get them on to tell us what really.
Yeah.
I would say, and I don't like this, but I do think that it might have been a situation. I don't know. This is just me speculating. I probably shouldn't even say it, but I do remember there was a situation when we were at one of their events because every night there was one night was a costume party. One night they did like a freak show that was really entertaining. Like, I mean, fire, half man, like giants. It was fun, but I think it might have there probably was a little bit of a situation where there's too many chiefs. It was not with the head honcho guys. It was the staff that was working there. You can tell there was some friction with the staff that was working. So, and sometimes, and like I said, this is going to be a whole other segment, but sometimes that lower level, like middle level staff, not lower level, but the mid-level staff, if they're not all on the same page, it can really mess up the production, as we know from this last year.
Yeah, we've been in Turlock, but like look at Novak, and
yeah, I don't know that is the case with this story, but I'm hoping that it's something that can be worked out and we can get back and rolling.
Right. They did a great job, and we will miss them for sure because we did look forward to going back.
Some people just know when to pull out. Like, that's the problem with us. We don't. Well, with me, I don't know when. Like, I'll give every last penny that I've got if I'm enjoying something, even if it's not making money, because I want. Some people know, like, oh, this is not really. It could be financial things. It's not really making money. It's time to walk away. You know what I'm saying? And me, I'd be like, oh, maybe let's try it one more year. Let's try it one more year.
Kind of like our Christmas event. We had the most cutest Christmas event out here at the ranch last year. And Heather's kids, it was like they was at the North Pole every single night for 2 weeks, and they loved it.
About 10 grand to put on, so it wasn't like super. It wasn't a big, like, huge Disney World budget like we're talking about. Right. But for just a mom and pop operation, it was 10 grand.
Everybody that came loved it. The problem was we didn't have a lot of people to come.
Yeah, so everybody loved it. But in my little babies' minds, we took them to the North Pole, and they loved that. So it was worth every penny.
They were part of it, being Santa's helpers, and they loved it.
Worth every penny, but I don't know that was one thing that I was like, okay, we're going to stop it. We did the same thing in Louisiana for years. Christmas never makes a whole lot of money, but it was just worth it because it's a lot of fun. But this year, our haunt season this year kind of kicked our butt, so I was not ready to
issues.
Right. But anyway, so Nannie Jannie, share with us your paranormal.
Oh, goodness. So I got to take away this segment. I'm so happy about this, and I'm kind of nervous too. But I want to first say, in no way or means am I median, or can I say that I can call the ghost in, or can I speak to entities? And I cannot do any of that. But I can tell you 100% for a fact, without a doubt, they are around us, and I involuntarily communicate with them, or they get my attention quite often, and it's happened for as long as I can remember, probably 4 or 5 years old. And I'm going to kind of start off with this, and then I'll give it back to the group. And every week I'll come on with a different story of something that's happened and share something that's happened in my life and somebody else's, or pick some new stories. There's so much that we can do with this segment, so I'm going to work with it as we go and mold it into where I feel comfortable sharing what I can share, and then bringing others in to share their stories. But imagine a 4-year-old, a little bit spoilt, the baby, per se, kind of like Kenzen or Jojo, and you have pet friends that you call your pet monsters. And I don't even know how to compare this to anything. What was the movie with the boy seeing things?
With what?
The boy seeing things at the end. You realize Sixth Sense.
Okay.
So from a young age, I can see these things, and I remember I was on the playground in our community park, and I think we lived in Hayward, California at the time. And I had said something to the kids about me having pet monsters, and they kind of like laughed at me, and the older kids were like, and I remember bringing them home to show them my pet monsters. Okay, came in, and my mom was there, my her friend Julie was there, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm going to get my pet monsters. Those kids don't believe I have a pet monster." And I dragged him to the front door, and I opened the door and like, "See?" And the kids cannot see what I could see, and they were like, and my mom so ever gently tried to explain to me that not everybody could see the things that I seen. And I know my mom really wasn't for sure that I was seeing what I seen, this little spoiled kid that they humored half the time. But my pet monster went quite a few places with me. Like, he was just always, I traveled with my dad, traveled from the Bay Area to Chowchilla or Merced for years for business. And I would travel with my dad. Well, one day we were at the auction yard in Chowchilla. We came down from Hayward, and I had my pet monster in the truck with us. And my pet monster and I got out and roamed the auction yard. And when I got back in and my dad started the truck, my pet monster didn't get in the truck with us. And when I say pet monster, I want you to understand it's an entity that nobody could see but me. So you could say it's a figment of my imagination, kind of like Drop Dead Fred or whatever. I could relate to so many of these things. And we get down the road, and imagine my 4-year-old self. I told my dad, we left my pet monster. He had to go back, and he was not going back. We were going from Chowchilla to the Bay Area, so it was a 2.5-hour drive, and he was not. So he pulled over the side of the road. He got out of his truck, and he got something and kind of put it down the truck, rough between me and him, and said, there's monster. And I remember saying,
For heaven's sakes, girl.
I know. I didn't notice my dad's path, and he didn't have the patience for this stuff, but for me at that time he did. And it's like, there's a pet monster. I'm like,
She told him, she said, I don't know whose monster that is, but that is not mine. Now, you guys were past Merced already.
yeah, we were
So
45 minutes.
they were at least 45 minutes away.
And he turned around
He had to turn around and come all the way back to
to
Chowchilla.
the auction yard to get my pet monster.
And he did it.
took me a few minutes. I stepped out, called my pet monster. He got in the truck, and we took off. To humor a 4-year-old like that, if you, like I said, you'd almost have to know like that.
I feel like your 4-year-old mind must have thought you were past Merced, but there is no way a grown adult turned around.
No, they were. No, yeah, because, Papa
Yeah.
Ronnie said that. Yeah, they were, they were past the Highway 59, so that they were almost
Yeah.
to Los Banos.
But see, you can go that way a little bit differently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, so that is the earliest memory I have of being able to see these
Do you still
entities.
see them like that?
I'm not in the same. The clearest one I've seen, like a couple of years ago, I said, you're jumping ahead,
Oh,
though.
all right.
It's okay. I will say this. The clearest I see on a regular is
Shadow.
it's shadow figures, like 3. And I, like Hatman, you're part of the Heather loves that story. And I have always known that it makes me nervous to see the 3 together, because I'm not a medium. I just had, from life, have realized if I see these 3 shadows together, I know that somebody close to me or somebody I know or somebody in that vicinity is not going to be there very much longer. And it's weird, and I've called it several times, but quite often, and it's been a while, being a year, I think since this ranch, they just haven't caught up with me yet or something. But I see the 2. There's 2 dark shadows that I see quite often. But when the 3rd one shows up, it's like I kind of pay attention to who's around in my life and the age and what's going on. So creepy things have happened throughout my life, and I look forward to sharing some of them with you. Some are quite creepy and some are quite scary, and some Heather wouldn't be able to sit in the same room with. So I have lots to share with you, but I'm going to say that they started off from a young age. I don't know how to control them. At one time, I was telling a lady, or Travis had told a medium that, hey, my mom sees shadows or my mom sees ghosts, but she doesn't know how to identify them or how to deal with them. And the lady was calling me and she wanted to train me. And I said, I really don't want to know. I am perfect Christian. I do believe in God. I believe in Jesus. And I'm afraid to see this other side. I don't want to haul in the demons. Things that I cannot control, because I can't control these entities as it is. They just appear. And I'm afraid of the dark side. So
I do feel like things that I don't know anything about what you're talking about, but I do feel that things that you are communicating with are not probably godly. You know?
exactly. And that's it. And I don't try.
And I know
I
in
try
the
not to.
community, like there's people of all different religions.
Right.
But in the haunt community, or outside of the haunt community and the Christian community, sometimes even haunted house themselves are very much looked down upon. Like, how can you
Right.
be Christian and be in the haunt community? And so I'm not trying to hijack you.
Right.
I think
No,
that has
agree. That's
been something that I've struggled with for a long time. And when the very first year that we were open, I had family members on my husband's side. They were coming out all the time, and then they seen that we had a tarot card reading booth. And they were like, oh, no, like that is absolutely like crossing the line, and we're not going to support that. And I was like, well, it's really like in our tarot card booth that year was literally an actor, right? Flipping cards over. It wasn't, you weren't paying anything. They were just entertaining people while they were in line or whatever. So I didn't really look down on it. But when I will say this, I don't even know if I've ever actually spoken this out loud, but that same year, the first year we were ever at the fairgrounds, we used to promote our haunt at the fairgrounds with the zombie shooter booth. And I remember I was driving to the zombie shooter booth, it was kind of heavy on my heart that the family was thinking that, we're doing something anti-Christian because I don't want to be doing anything that's anti-Christian.
Right.
And I was driving and I heard like clear as day, the Holy Spirit, like clear as day. It was like, because I almost didn't go. And they're like, you keep going. So I went to the fairgrounds and nothing ever came of it, nothing. But then we went through our trouble where we had like the lawsuit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I doing this? But then I remember like clear, I only heard it that one time. I never reset it. But I'm like, I believe that it was the Holy Spirit talking to me, telling me to keep going. And God is not going to tell me to keep going if it's something that I'm not supposed to be doing.
Right.
So I'm going to stay in this and see it out. So what? I just lost this amount of money on attorneys, or so what? Like, God's telling me to do this. Well, just this year, I have realized every single year since the year we've been open, I've held hands with somebody and prayed with them that were not normally Christians. Every single year. This year, a little girl, she had never even prayed before. And she'd asked me, she came back to me later and was like, can we pray again? And I was like, yeah. But every single year, one time I prayed for Colby and another girl. And I didn't know, they had told me that this other girl was in a head-on collision. And so I was praying for them every night. And one day, this kid started working for us at the party barn, not just for the haunt, but at the party barn. And one day I said, whatever happened to her? He's like, oh, she was never in a head-on collision. I said, Colby, my heart broke for a month straight and I was praying for her and waiting for a news update. And he could not believe that he put me through that much stress. And so he says every time he goes to pray, he thinks about me. So anyways, I don't know that it's necessarily a good, this is not, we're not in the haunt industry necessarily.
We're in the entertainment business.
Right.
And that's what everybody knows that we're just in the entertainment business. Yeah. Family entertainment. We don't do anything that, and some people like to cross that line. They like that, we had, for example, we had a exorcist room where one of the actors took an actual Bible, tore it apart, and put the pages on the wall. That was a crossing the line for me. That was,
I think
that,
definitely pulled
at that point, yeah. We
keep an exorcist room for entertainment purposes, but we're not ripping Bible pages.
Right. Yeah, it's entirely entertainment business, and I think, if you're a true believer, you have to believe that that God put entertainment in our hands for a reason.
Right.
It can bring entertainment, especially family entertainment. Our haunt, I can only speak for our haunt. Our haunt is 100% family entertainment. There's something for all ages. You can sit there and watch a free movie. We've got the hay rides. We've got the corn mazes. We've got, there's something for all ages. Shoot a zombie. Yeah.
It's kind of boring to say it, but it's really.
I do like going to haunts that are geared specifically for adults because they are but I also don't feel that they're any more scary or less scary.
Yeah. No, I think it's just more, where is that line? Where are they tipping it? If they've got just werewolves and creatures and witches and that type of thing, just things that are associated with Halloween for decades now. I think that's fine. I think when you start getting, I don't know, like the new movie The Nun or something like that might be getting a little bit closer, and things like that.
One of the Nun movies, and I was thinking, dang, we really need to follow this movie and do these props for you.
Yeah. Right. I've never seen the movie. I just threw that out there because that's more, you're tipping the bar.
I did want to just throw that out there. I am a religious person. I am not the perfect.
Yeah, I didn't mean to hijack and make it religious.
It's okay.
That's the case.
But I do get nervous about, that sometimes with our haunt and bringing our kids or the grandkids.
I believe that there's something that people see, but I don't like communicating with it.
And that makes me nervous. As soon as there is communication, and I learned that from a young age from one of the priests. I grew up Southern Baptist, by the way, or Baptist, from one of the priests, I bless you with the blood of the Lamb, go towards the light. So I've said that numerous times in my lifetime, and I don't know where it's taken over from there. I just know that these entities, for lack of better words, are attracted to my charming personality. I don't really know what it is.
We had Sarah during this time, because there's a lot of pagans that are hunters. I feel like that's a pretty dominant religion in this industry. I would like to hear what their takes on when they have
maybe Taylor,
shadow person, or ghost.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, but it's real. It's out there. It's phenomenal.
It's paranormal, and it's seen in every different culture around the world. So
Yeah.
a lot of these paranormal stories that you need to bring forward are
Right.
being around.
And
the
there
world.
there
So
has
definitely
not been
true to it.
and there has not been a year in my life that something has not happened, from seeing accidents through somebody else's eyes to seeing the death of loved ones, or knowing or anticipating, or
Just
like I said, just picking up
just
just picking up monsters on the side of the road. I say that with humor, but
that's
yeah.
one. I'm just glad that that's not a talent or a gift that I have.
But I
because
think
that's something I'm
that
interested
your
in.
kid too. I think that Kenson does, by her attitude sometimes, and the way she stops and watches something.
Yeah.
And orbs is another thing that you can see.
Kinslin thinks that she's going to be a star when she passes away. She has her spot laid out in the sky.
I think that's all I'm going to say for this segment of my show. There's so many things others that I'm going to that I want to share with you. We can go on and on.
All right, so we are excited to be back in the industry. We are excited to launch. We're going to start recording every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. If you are a haunter in the community and you have an idea you'd like to be on the podcast, please reach out to us at hauntafterhours@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. Our next podcast meeting, we are going to be talking about Christmas haunts. Yes or no? So we're not talking cutesy Christmas. We're talking scary Christmas. Are they a go? Are they bust? What do you think? And we're going to look into some haunts that are putting on Christmas haunts and talk with them or discuss what they're providing. That's all.
Do people spend money for that at Christmas? That's what I want to know. Do people spend money for that at Christmas time, on a Christmas haunt?
I don't. Yeah, we'll look into that next week. We do Christmas not scary, and it's always just kind of broke even. Right. Not really been a moneymaker at all. But I wonder on the not scary side. There's lots of people that love scary, so we'll look into that next week. With that said, stay connected, and remember, do it for the haunt.